I am Rufus Bill, and welcome to another edition of Talking To. So glad that you are joining us today on Sunday, March 9th, 2025, coming from the beautiful city of Detroit. And it's a nice and warm 57 degrees in the Motor City. Can you believe it? Just a couple of weeks ago, we still needed coats. Well, we needed coats today as well, but definitely, it wasn't this type of temperature, but it's very pretty here today, and we're just going to enjoy it while we can. I heard someone say earlier that this is the calm before the storm. I don't know what you think about that, but definitely, I'm hoping it's not the calm before the storm. I'm hoping that it's the calm for the calm. With that, we're going to go to our other host on Talking To. Welcome, Joanne Tolson Fuller. How are you today?
I'm good. I'm good. So glad to be here. Yes, it was a beautiful sunny day today.
Yes,
Yes,
it
it was.
is.
Mm-hmm.
I know.
That ice
And
kind of
Justin
messed me up,
Hearn, good
though.
afternoon. How are you?
What's going on, good
Hey,
people?
hey.
Y'all all right today?
Hey,
Doing
Justin.
great. Doing
You know,
great.
I'm not
Can
ready.
you
I'm
hear
not,
us?
yeah, y'all
What's
can't hear me?
going on?
Can y'all hear me?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not ready to call it a victory just yet. You know what I'm saying?
Out
I
there right
love I'm
now
loving I'm loving this sun right
in
now,
the
but
beautiful weather.
yeah, I ain't ready to call it a victory yet though.
Not yet.
You,
Not yet.
Not yet.
Not in Detroit. Not in Michigan.
not yet.
Cause it's too early. Cause
It
March,
is way too early.
yeah.
March can be crazy.
Hmm.
Yes, it can. I noticed that March wind the other day, maybe like Thursday, I believe it was. Although it was kind of a warm wind, it was still that March wind.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot how that wind can gust.
Yeah.
Is that only in the Midwest where that wind is like that in March?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
No, I'm not sure either.
Hmm.
No.
We have to check into that. We definitely do
Good
have to check.
question. Good question.
Yeah. And I wonder maybe because we're off the Great Lakes or surrounded by the Great Lakes,
Yeah.
the reason
You
why
know
that we
what?
get.
Now that you said that, Chicago gets those high winds,
Oh, they do.
and because they're off the lake also
It
too.
could be.
Yeah, when I would go see my parents,
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
because my brother still lives there, but going downtown Chicago, oh my goodness, oh,
Now that's where the hawk resides.
I bet for
that's what the
real.
Hawk was eyes for real, for real.
Uh-huh.
You
So,
know,
Justin, how did the team do today?
they did good. Collins team won like 22-5 or something like that. So
Mm-hmm.
they so they did a really good job. And Collins scored a one basket today. He could have scored more, but it's like it's like one extreme to with these kids. He had more than a couple open shots at the basket, and he decided to pass the ball. But then these other little rascals, he be wide open and they won't pass him the ball. So I'm saying, don't shoot the ball, don't pass the ball. you know. So it's kind of hard because you want him to be a team player, but man, it's
Of
like
course.
take your shot. If you at the basket, don't pass it. You at the basket, shoot it.
Right. You shine.
They
Yeah,
scared. They scared.
That's so
yeah.
funny. He still has the
Oh.
team spirit mentality.
That's right.
Mhm.
He
I
trying to
like
share
that.
it.
I like
Yeah,
that. He said all for one and one for all.
That's
yeah.
right. That's
Yeah,
right.
Hmm.
I love it. I love it. I love it. So, you can join into the conversation by joining in the comments and putting up your chat. We'll be more than willing and loving to hear your conversation and what you may have to say on this beautiful day on Sunday, March 9th, 2025. I cannot believe we are in the Lenten season
Yes.
for that just seems unbelievable.
Time is just flying by. It's just like, oh my goodness, it's flying by. Mm,
Hmm.
yes, yes.
Man, I looked on the calendar today to see when Easter is, and I'm thinking, wow, just around the corner.
Yeah, though, Easter is late
Um,
this year, it
so
seems.
I did some reading over the last couple of days. And yeah, it's in April this year. I think
Yep,
the third
actually,
Sunday.
The
yeah,
third.
Easter Sunday falls on my birthday this year, April
Really?
Oh,
20th.
the
Yep.
blessed God. Amen.
Get out of here!
hmm
Oh
It falls on my
man,
birthday.
how about that? I
How
love
about
it.
that? Yeah.
It's all right.
hmm
Well, okay. That's gonna be very memorable.
Right.
I
I gotta figure out how I'm gonna be resurrected on Easter Sunday. I
I
gotta
know that's right.
figure out how. I
I,
gotta be
I can you
resurrected.
get some of that resurrection.
I gotta be high and lifted up.
Oh,
You know
Oh
what's
my
funny is
God.
that and which is kind of crazy. So it's well, I didn't notice until I went to college. So my birthday is 420. So
mhm.
420 is like National Weed.
Right.
Yeah. So, everybody like, yo, give you some weed. I'm like, I don't even smoke. I don't smoke. But yeah, but 420 on Easter Sunday, that's gonna be eventful.
Now
It's gonna
you
be
know what?
eventful.
That's when the two worlds will collide.
You know what I'm saying? One for me and one for Jesus. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? They gotta no, you gotta have four. You gotta have one for yourself, for the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. I'm just
Oh,
talking.
that's
I'm just talking.
hilarious.
Man.
Yeah, wow. I wonder how many sermons we're gonna hear on that.
Right, exactly.
They, they
Exactly.
might catch it. They might not
Right.
catch it.
They might not catch it.
Yeah,
Why
till the
not?
right,
Mhm.
because they'll be so
What you
wrapped up in
talking
the good
about?
part.
I don't
Right.
understand.
Right.
What are you talking about? That's funny.
Uh-uh.
So, which is very crazy. In a recent article I was reading over the
hmm
past week, they were talking about how more people or more companies are asking for their employees to return back to work um, more days a week, so
hmm
many more days a month, and of course it's garnered mixed reaction across the board. For I don't know if you've been working at home since 2019, and then all of a sudden, 5 years later, 6 years later, you having to grapple with going back into the office.
hmm
That could make for some sticky situations, because
Mhm.
just um, on your day off, if you're just at home, you're kind of to yourself or with your spouse, you're moving and navigating throughout that day,
hmm
all however you want to do that, and especially if you if that's a Sunday and then Monday you're working from the den or the office, you still kind of can navigate your day on in terms of not being bothered with people
hmm
coming by you, saying something to you. How's your weekend? How was the weekend? If I could avoid that question,
Oh, that's sad. Oh, Rufus.
if if we if we if we could say up until 7:15 a.m.
hmm
How's your if you haven't asked by 7:15 a.m., hang it up.
Buddy.
Hang it
Try
up.
next week.
So you don't like small talk.
Please no. So you know, I mean
Hang
the
up a
first couple
sign. Hang up
the
a
first
sign.
couple, the
I'm
first couple, all right. But that fifth and sixth and seventh, how was your weekend? I don't even
hmm
ask people. I just say, hey, good morning.
hmm
Good morning. And sometimes they throw that in. That weekend was too short, wasn't it? Same amount of days it's always
It's
been,
always
sir.
been. It's the same amount of yeah.
But so people are are trying to reposition themselves back in the workplace, and so we're going to kind of talk about that today. Um, Working in uncomfortable environments, not just with returning to work, But for those who may have never taken off work, like, you know, um, our law enforcement officers
Hmm.
and the bankers and other positions, just day to day things that you may face at your job, working with people in your office, and especially if you're working with the public. One of the things that one of the challenges and scenarios they have, refusal to listen to others' ideas or compromise. Refusal to listen to others' ideas or compromise. Joanne,
Yeah.
can you recall, especially working in the legal industry, um, which is very highly competitive. I
Highly
was
competitive, very opinionated.
very opinionated. I can
Everybody
imagine.
right.
Yes,
Want
everyone's
us
right.
to listen to their side. Once you
Hmm.
that's yeah. And you have to have that spirit of, okay, I'm listening, and then somebody has to be the person that says, okay, well, we're gonna take all of this and see what we get
Consider
out of all of this. Yeah,
it,
it always has to be someone. Always has to
it does.
be. And a lot of times
It,
it was me because it was like, oh,
the
okay.
mediator.
I listen and I
Hmm.
listen and I take both sides. I can listen to both sides.
Hmm.
And yeah, sometimes people got mad at me, but
Oh well.
oh well. Oh well.
Hmm. And you know, I've whenever I am working in a team of artists,
Hmm.
may it be musicians or it could be um, even in the field of my background with journalism, broadcast journalism. I would always, sometimes not always, but sometimes whenever we come to the table for our creative ideas, like you said, everyone's idea is the best.
Hmm. So they think.
So they
Hmm.
think. So they think. And so, you know, it can get kind of sticky when you're trying to promote what you think is best, or the other person is trying to promote what they think is best. A lot of times, or I can remember a lot of times, you know, people walking away heated and very upset that they
Hmm.
were not successful in their bid for whatever it is that they wanted to do.
Right.
And that can be cause for a hostile work environment.
Hmm. And I
And
think people realize too that everybody has an opinion. It doesn't mean that it's wrong. It's just
mhm.
everybody has an opinion. And sometimes if you put these opinions together, because sometimes they can work together.
Yes, they can.
Sometimes, and it's just like in anything, you win, you lose.
Hmm.
I got my idea this time, next time, hopefully, you get yours, so I think we get so in ourselves that, you
Yes.
know, I'm just no good, or I'm a loser, or I don't like it if my opinion or my idea is not what voted on, or mature, the majority doesn't go with it or whatever.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah, no.
Yeah, it's crazy how that can really um, become can really make a toxic environment.
Mm-hmm.
You know, not accepting people's opinion. I was wondering, Justin, when in your line of work, in your various occupations, that do you come across with people of jealous? I want jealousy, or maybe very opinionated on
Of
doing the
course,
things that you do.
He said, of
of
course.
course. You know, you know, opinions. You know, as Y'all know where I'm going with that.
That's the shame. We laugh
Everybody
because
has
we
one.
all know.
Everybody has one. But I think it's what I've truly learned is that to like, okay, so you got the religion piece and you got the politic piece. You tend to stay away from those conversations if you can, because people are going to be different. And nowadays, you really have to be careful because everybody is so offended. You know what I mean? Everybody's so offended, and they'll take what you say or what you feel and turn it into hate speech. And it's like, hate speech is not because I disagree with you. Hate speech is when I'm dogging or what do
Shaming.
shaming or or what am I trying to say? Discriminating. You know what I mean?
Okay.
But if I have an opinion and it's my opinion, so I've learned to be quiet. However, to answer your question, there's more than one way to skin a cat, and I've just learned to listen and to take because I think there's some truth to what everybody has to say in some matter of faction,
Mhm.
whatever. So I try to say, what can I gain from this? What can I get from this? And try to see things from what they see. It doesn't mean I necessarily agree with it, but
Right.
I try to open myself up to perspectives, so that I can make sure that I'm well rounded in my decision making and in my thought processes and different things like that. But there's always an opposition. There's always another way to doing things. And sometimes people are considering what you are considering, and sometimes they're not considering, what you're considering. But the main thing that I've always tried to do is make my decisions based on the information that I have at hand and be okay with that.
Yeah.
And if I make a bad decision, or if there's a better way or another way, then in hindsight, I can take that information and I can do better the next time. So
Yeah.
Mhm.
I really have tried to free myself from the opinions of others, because at the end of the day, as long as I'm happy with what I'm doing and what I got going on, you don't have to understand it because it ain't your life. You know what I
Right.
mean?
That's the
And
bottom line. That's the
yeah.
bottom line. I've noticed in the education arena
Mm.
from the small time that I've been in it on this level that there is a lot of stubbornness when it comes to who are less experienced with in class interaction, but are better with technology than those with
Mm,
that experience. And I've noticed that the two cannot seem to mesh. And I don't know if any of you have ever watched the series Abbott Elementary, but
Oh
the
yeah.
mhm,
character that's played by Shirley Ralph and the other lady, that they are experienced teachers. However, those younger teachers, they just can't seem to get with, and they're very stuck in their ways with
mhm,
what they've done for 30 years or 40 years. And I see it sometimes at work if I'm in a meeting and I see them going back and forth. And when we should be using this type of technology to help our children get ahead, and then you have the seasoned teachers who are still in the era of hold up your sight word cards.
mhm.
So I noticed that there is a lot of tension in that workplace for some educators, and
And
that's really sticky and tricky because you would think of all.
mhm. Oh, is he froze?
He's froze. Yeah.
Okay, I'm like, let me just me.
Go
I'm
on
like,
with the
All
job at
right.
hand, which is to educate and to work together as a team. I think a lot of times in certain experiences or situations in the workplace, Justin,
mhm.
people have not set boundaries.
Yeah.
And especially if you are returning to the workforce after being at home with your kids, or even if you're not, setting boundaries very important for the success of working together. Can, Joanne, you have any suggestions or on how we should go about setting boundaries, or and how should we present setting boundaries, Justin, without it sounding making it making someone feel that you're making someone feeling offended, if that's possible.
Yeah, I think that's hard. That can be hard though. It doesn't always have to be, but especially with and I hear a lot of my clients who have to go back into the workplace and that have been off, like you said, for all these years. And some people are excited to get back because some people are people. They like being around people. Some people, like I have some clients who love being at home by themselves. Nobody looking over their shoulder. They didn't have to talk and all of that. So I think it's just everyone has to be conscious of everyone else. I don't know if that
Mhm.
is. And so everyone has to be okay with, okay, yep, let's come in. Kind of what you said earlier. Let's come in and say good morning. Because some people are work focused. Some people
Yes.
like that chit chat. And you have to know now we have to relearn the workplace. We have to relearn who we can come and chit chat with in the
That's
morning.
right.
People are not morning people, period, even though they have to be at work at 7 in the morning. But and who you can chit chat with in the morning. So I think
Mhm.
everyone has to be patient and understanding, and we just have to learn each other again, as far as who the people are that we're working with. Some people are new. We don't even know them at all. But yeah, I just think
We
get a
don't,
little harder
right.
than it needs to be, than necessary.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think we need to realize that collaboration is king. Like, you know what I'm saying? And so the older people need to learn from the younger people, and the younger people need to
Amen.
learn from the older people.
I agree.
We can't be, yes, the world is new, and yes, technology is in new, but that doesn't mean that the wisdom of old is not, applicable to where we are or to even where we're going. And likewise, older people can learn new skills, or they can learn a new way of doing things. And sometimes those new ways just makes things more proficient, or efficient. So I think that we got to understand that collaboration, is key. And the more that we can work together, and the more that we can have productive dialogue, not necessarily dialogue, because some people are going to go to work and say my work friends are not my friends, they're coworkers, and that's fine. But when it comes to how you're grading, when it comes to, how are you going to facilitate this test, when it comes to actually doing the job that you have to do, then collaboration in that job, is key. So I think that's what we have to remember, is that collaboration is key, no matter, where you are, what sector you are in. Like, you got to have pieces
Mhm.
talking to each other, communicating, and then that make things a lot easier.
Right. And Rufus, you were talking about, like, even with the education and how the older teachers don't want to, the younger teachers and all of that. And I know in education, it's it can be difficult because I know they're trying to. I'm gonna use the word that Justin used, make things more proficient. But we see how things have just changed as far as even how teaching how to read, teaching how to write,
Yes.
teaching how to do math, teaching and a lot of the new ways did not work. Did not work.
Exactly.
If they be honest, they didn't work. And so now, and that's why I think if every like Justin said, if everybody comes to the table and kind of collaborate and see and understand that just because this is new does not mean this is best. Just because look at what's happening now. Now people are going back to phonics.
Mhm.
Mhm.
When the whole, they took us through, I don't know how many different syllabuses or what courses or programs, I should say, programs of how to teach children how to read. And
How
now
to
they're going
read.
back to that. hooked on phonics. Now now it's advertised everywhere again because it was a really good program. And I think people are starting to see that now. So I think it's just, yeah, the collaboration, and everybody has to work together, young and old. So I agree with Justin on that. We have to learn from each other, and we have to learn to pass the baton as mature people.
As yes, we should. Yes, sir. So, what one of the solutions that Indeed says to do when you're on your job and you're trying to work together,
Hmm.
Uh-oh. I think you froze. I think you froze.
He might
is
have.
it
Yeah.
is it easy
We didn't
to
hear
have
nothing.
empathy?
We didn't
We
hear
didn't
you.
hear
We didn't. You froze. You said
Oh
indeed.
no! Can you
Last
hear
thing
me
we heard.
now?
Yeah, last thing we heard was indeed suggested, and then we heard, "Is it easy?
I heard that.
Is it easier?"
Got us looking crazy. Thank you, internet. Um, it said that Indeed said that we should have empathy on our jobs now. And
hmm
so I was asking the question, does empathy really work? Justin, you have two-way or in some ways two ways. Well, you do too, Joanne, working with the public and then working with Joanne is working with the public, and then Justin's working with the public.
Uh-oh.
Can empathy work? Does it work? Does it even have a place, in the workplace, even if you're a major company, um, a business owner? What do you think?
So I'm going to assume that I know the question
Am I
because you cut
froze?
out again. Yeah, cut out again. But I'm guessing that you're asking, does empathy work in the workplace, or should it work in the workplace? Um, okay.
Can it?
So I think it has to. I think empathy, it has to work. Empathy is, I remember my social studies class in middle school we used to always have to write something and compare it to, I don't know if they were called core values or core beliefs, whatever it was, but
core
it was
value.
something core values. And it was one that was called the commonwealth of the public or something like that. It was like a thing, whatever. Well, anywhere there's people, there needs to be empathy, because we're all experiencing different things, and nobody is mapping out their life to the point where they can dictate what happens and what doesn't happen. And so when you can't dictate what happens and doesn't happen, we can have action and hope for a result, but positive action doesn't always mean positive result. And so you can mean to get to work on time, and you can get up early, and you could get the kids ready for school, and you could do everything you're supposed to do. And then because some idiot was driving too fast on the freeway, you're going to be late, and there's nothing you can do about it. Well, empathy is needed for those times. And without empathy, you're going to create a robotic society, which robots doesn't have feelings. And whenever you're dealing with people who don't have feelings, that's going to be a toxic work environment or community, that's eventually is going to fold, or it's going to turn to all chaos. It's going to turn to war. You know what I mean? Because where there's people, where there's human interaction, there needs to be empathy for sure.
Amen. And I wholeheartedly
Agreed.
agree. I wholeheartedly agree. There's always room for empathy, and no matter what situation. I mean, like I would just be repeating what Justin said. I wholeheartedly agree. Yeah.
I can remember when I had to take I took this class, and it was this class that's supposed to get you ready. Um, uh, Leah said that they don't teach children cursive. One of the problems I'm seeing is that the younger teachers don't want to learn from the older teachers. but my kids always score higher than expected in 7th and 8th grade and diverse learners. So I think what you got to remember but that's not, coming from, who has a wife that's in education. The curriculum is set by the school board or by the state. So if cursive is not in the classrooms, it's literally because the teachers are being instructed not to teach it. So I don't think that's a younger or older issue because everybody had, and I'm sure Rufus, you can speak to that, just like they teach in math with boxes. I'm like, I don't like, why is it a box? I don't even understand how to figure this problem out. Like,
I'm
to me,
telling you,
it makes no sense. Just 1 plus 1 is 2. You know
thank
what I'm
you.
saying?
Thank
Just leave it
you.
at that. You got all these boxes and the way they doing. I'm like, I don't even. This is confusing. That's what it is. Like, I don't get it. You know what I mean? But that's set forth by the school board, or that's set forth by the Department of Education, not necessarily the teachers, because unfortunately, teachers don't have the liberty. Um, to teach what they want or what they feel, or even the pace that they should go. You know what I mean? You got some school charters that will crack your head when they come in to do teacher observations. If today you should be on section 1.1,
That's
then you
true.
should be on section 1.1. You can't say, well, half the class didn't get 1.0. They don't care. They want you to stay on the
Ooh,
curriculum. Well, that causes a problem, but that's because education shouldn't be generalized. That's the problem right there.
Hmm.
that's a big
Among
problem.
among many.
Right.
among many, to say the least. Um, I was thinking when we were talking about empathy, how when you're in a position and you have to hear a lot of people conversation, or their say, for instance, when I used to play in supper clubs, and they would have a piano, or they would have the piano the stools around the piano, and people would sit. And so I'm playing, and so I would get someone who was going to fill me in as long as they can with the latest divorce and what they were dealing with personally. So, in those situations, I've heard a lot of scenarios,
Mm.
and or in industries like that, you have to have
Empathy. I think we lost both of them.
but you have to extend the olive branch of empathy so that you can, get along.
Yes, yes.
you
And that's even, I work
know, you,
with the church, so that's even, especially in the church. Whew, it's everywhere. You have to extend
yeah,
that olive
it
branch.
is.
You have to. Yes.
A
Woo.
thousand
you
percent.
really have to have one. Um, they, of course, they also say, uh, to have a very good. Now, this is interesting. Work environment. Know what to ask. Know what to ask. Consider planning what to ask your colleagues before your conversation. If they become distressed, you can gently suggest ways for them to adjust their behavior in the workplace. So I guess that's just as simple as think before you speak.
Hmm.
That's right, Miss
Think
Pam. It
before
does
you
not.
speak.
Miss Pam says empathy does not
Yeah,
mean you are weak either. No, it doesn't. It does not.
you're exactly right.
You know,
Exactly
It
right.
does mean you're kind. I think it means that you have a kind spirit. I believe
yeah,
that
because
when you have empathy.
empathy is just putting yourself in the other person's shoes. That's
Right.
it.
Yes.
That's
You know what I
it.
Yes, it is.
mean? Because
That's it.
considering how they feel. So
Yeah.
yeah, it definitely does. Actually, it means you're strong because it takes a strong individual to empathize with somebody. Because anybody can feel sorry. Oh, I'm sorry your dog died. Oh, I'm sorry you had this. Oh, I'm
Yeah.
sorry. That's just being sorry. But empathize makes you think about
You're right.
your related experience. Like, man, what if it was my dog? You know what I mean? Or man, that's crazy. I never even imagined that would happen to somebody, or I never like, and then that allows you to be gracious,
Right.
to the person and what they're experiencing. I do think that there's a level, like, so I think I would say like empathy with boundaries, right? Because
Uh-huh.
at the end of the day, we're at work,
Okay.
right? And we're here to work. And your personal problems and personal life, I can have empathy for you, but this is not the place
That's true.
for, you know what I mean? Like, so it's like you definitely have to have empathy, but then you definitely have to have boundaries because I tell you this, too much empathy will cause people to just dump on you, and then you'll be
You
walking
do.
around with the weight of the
Mhm.
world on your shoulders because you got all the you putting everything on you that everybody, you know what I'm saying? And so it's like with it, it's like I've learned, especially in the workplace, that people's emergency is not my emergency. You know what I mean? And it's like I can empathize with you and everything like that,
Hmm.
but that's about but there has to be a boundary with that empathy. Like, you know what I'm saying? I understand that you late for work and you're having a hard time, but that don't mean that I'm about to pick you up every day. You know what I'm saying? That don't mean that.
And it
No,
don't mean I
no,
understand that you late to work every
No,
day.
no,
right.
ma'am.
You know
No,
what I'm saying?
sir.
So there's like you said, there are boundaries.
It's
Yep.
gotta have boundaries with it for sure.
There was an accident on the freeway. I understand.
So
Hmm.
You keep waking up late,
we get
Hmm.
it.
or your kids get on your nerves in the morning or whatever. I mean, there has to be
Hmm.
that. Hmm.
Hmm.
So indeed, also suggest know when to address situations publicly or privately. Publicly or privately. Know when to address situations publicly or privately. Even say anything. So you know you're dealing with a younger workforce. Y'all laughing at that.
I'm laughing at Miss Pam. Miss Pam, she like you today,
Justin Reed.
Right. She said, "You're
No.
right, Justin." That's twice that I agree with Justin. Oh Lord, I know that's
she like you today.
right. you know, something that was kind of challenging for me because I'm not a rule follower, but I'm not a rule follower, but I'm more of a like right is right and wrong is wrong. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but that doesn't make me necessarily a rule follower. So at my basketball game the other day, I guess a mother and a daughter came in, and we take cash only for our basketball games. So cash only. And
Mhm.
so I'll tell you about this situation, but just period in general, we take cash only. And I have a sign on the door that says $3 cash only. It's literally you cannot come through the door without that sign in the glass, and it's right there.
Mhm.
And so what I've come to find out is that, there have been plenty of parents that came to me and said, "Hey, sir, athletic director, I don't have the money to pay for these kids, or I don't have any money, and I was running late, and I'm just trying to see them. I'm late." And I say, "Okay, you know what? Go ahead in there. Go ahead in there. Go ahead, right?" That's me extending empathy to say that, hey, I've been there before. You know what I mean? I've been running late, da da da. However, I get these parents who come and who expect me to bend the rules for them. I don't show empathy in that case. So I had a parent that came and said, "Y'all don't take no other methods?" I said, "No, it says cash only on the door." I mean, at AOW or at this school, you know what I'm saying? They take cash Apple Pay. I said, "Oh,
And
do they? Okay. We don't do that here." Oh, so you want me to have to go to the ATM? I said there's an ATM and there's a grocery store and a gas station literally in walking
Right
distance. I
there.
said you can go. But I'm gonna have to they're gonna charge me inconvenience fee to get cash off my card and all of that. Again, sounds like a personal problem to me. You see what I'm saying? But when they try to make it seem like I'm inconveniencing them, then
Hmm.
it's like I don't have no empathy for you because I don't care because first of all, it's $3 cash only. It says it on the door. But if you come to me nice and just say, "Hey, all I have is a $50 bill," you know what I'm saying? Can you, work? Can you work? Whatever. And I'll be like, just go ahead. You on me today? Tell them I'm gonna let you in. But when you
Right.
come looking for me to be empathetic, over your situation, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. I'm just not. But if somebody just genuinely, just come and say this is the situation, then I'm like, okay, cool, no problem. But when you come looking for a handout, looking for, oh, so you gonna make me miss my I done missed half the game already. I'm already late, and you gonna make me go to the store.
Is that your fault?
Oh, is it my fault that you? Is it my
No.
fault that you
Is it
late?
my fault?
It's
No.
not my
Not
fault.
at
Okay.
all.
Yeah.
Not at
So,
all.
yeah.
Mm-mm.
So, no. Did you all hear me say knowing when to publicly discuss and privately discuss? That'll
Yes.
help break down certain unhealthy working environments. Now, we're working with a lot of younger people, and they may not have the finesse of knowing, well, this should be discussed privately as opposed to publicly.
Mhm.
What do you think about that?
I think it depends on what the topic is, what the situation is. Also, I mean, if it's
Mhm.
personal stuff, then to me that should always be kind of down low, especially in the workplace.
Private.
In the workplace, that should
Mhm.
always be kind of private stuff. If it's work related and situations need to be taken care of, I think it depends on the situation again. Also, though, too. Um, Publicly, does that mean in front of everybody else? Does that mean, so it just depends on what the issue itself is. I think that's just my opinion.
Mhm.
It
Hmm.
just depends on what the issue itself is. But
Yeah.
personal things, they don't need to be, look, unless you just want everybody to know your personal stuff. To me, that should always
Right.
be.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I think my generation is just a little bit more liberal when it comes to personal information or personal stuff. I just don't think
How so?
we just in the nature that, like, people just don't care. They don't have those filters and stuff like that. Like, you know, um prime example, my company is supplying hall monitors to a charter school, whatever. And so my nephew works for me. And I never, even in orientation with the other employees, I never
Hmm.
mentioned one time that he was my nephew on purpose. You know what I mean? Because frankly, it's nobody's business if he's whatever. And then more so as a protective measure, because I don't never want them to look at him and say, oh, he's getting special attention, whatever. Day two of this, somebody come to me like, yeah, your nephew, like, how you know that's my nephew? You know what I'm saying? Because obviously he said, so why are you telling people? I don't know. I said you talk too much. Why you tell him that? You see what I'm saying? Where
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, in that case, I was a little bit more private, you know what I mean? But,
Right.
he's like, yeah, it's my uncle, you know what I'm saying? It's like, he's not thinking about what I'm thinking about, or, the conflict of interest, or, what I mean, or anything like that. So,
Anything.
yeah,
Mhm.
so I just think in that sense, that's a prime example. And then, like, I think the older generation, or I'm saying older, I'm gonna say baby boomers and Gen X's, I think they were raised with this discretion. They're like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we don't talk about this, or we don't do this. We don't live in that the society in the world of social media is just totally different now. People literally post on Facebook what they're having for dinner, and nobody cares. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
People literally post every day, that they're going to the mall, or, you know what I mean? Like, I'm headed to the mall. Like, so I
Hmm.
think as a society, we're just more public about what we're doing and what we're not doing, in our views and our opinions. Where I feel like in the, where the Gen X and the baby boomers, they were told that, you know what I'm saying, you spoke when you spoken to, you know what I'm saying,
Hmm.
that's family business, or that's our bit. You don't, you know what I mean? So they just not raised like that. Like, even my son, my son has repeated several things to my mom that goes on in my house. You know what I mean? And it's like, so you
Uh-huh.
just walked up to your grandma and was like, grandma, I got it. Like,
What?
boy, why are you doing that? They just more liberal.
Right. Yeah. But is that a good thing or no?
It definitely has its goods and its bads, right? It's
Yeah.
it's a catch 22. It's a catch 22, because it's like, it's not that you trying to hide something, but some stuff is just not nobody else's
It's
business. You
nobody.
know what I mean?
I was just going to say, it's nobody's
Else-
business. If I did,
Yes.
it's
Yeah, it's
nobody's
just like,
business.
right, it's just nobody else's
right.
business.
Yeah,
So
and
it's
like
not
you
a
said, not that you're doing something wrong. You're not trying to hide anything. It's just
right.
this is my
They
business.
don't right. They don't need to know that. They don't. You know, I mean, people don't need
They
to
don't
know
need to
what
know
the inner
everything.
workings. Exactly.
They
You
don't need
know.
to know that
So
I went to the bathroom 2 minutes ago. They don't
right,
need to
right.
know.
They don't need to know that.
Yeah.
You know.
So that scenario that Justin just gave reminded me of something with a student that I had. And so
Uh-oh.
we
Think you
don't work
froze
on his.
again.
We don't work
teacher
on his
and
internet.
Right. We're gonna
huh?
pray for your. We're praying for your internet.
The internet.
Intercede right
But
now.
thank you. I don't know what's going on with it.
So you, but we heard that you have a situation with a student.
Hmm.
And so the student told their teacher that Mr. Bill is always at our house in the bedroom with mommy. Did y'all
Mm.
hear that?
I
Mm-hmm.
heard
Because you all are
we
frozen.
heard that one loud and clear.
Right. You in the
That's
What
bedroom. You
you,
in the cut
I'm in the
what you doing,
all the
Rufus?
time.
all the time.
So the teacher came to me and said, Mr. Bill, I want you to be cautious of what you do in front of the children
Mm-mm.
because little Susie said you're at their house all the time in the bedroom with their mother.
Mm.
And I said, who said that? Obviously, it was some other striking fellow, just as fine as I am, and she just got confused with the two. However, but my point is that child didn't see, and I think it was a second grader, but that child didn't see anything about it's that is something that shouldn't be said outside of the house. And
Mm-mm.
I'm sure that their parent is as liberal because if the parent was not that liberal, that child probably might not be saying so much,
Mm-hmm.
because as you said, this is the younger generation and they're liberal,
Mm-hmm. They're more
and they're not,
liberal.
that you all in the younger generation are not expecting for the kids to go out and blab,
Right.
but
Mm-hmm.
it's just a different environment, just a different home environment about what goes on in the home. Like in my day, you heard that don't go out saying nothing what goes on in here.
That's right. Yeah.
As opposed to now, families are just open. They are, what is the word that everyone uses? They're transparent. And so
Mm-hmm.
that little student just wanted to share that I stop in at mommy's place often.
Wow.
That's happened to me before too.
An intimate way to be specific.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
See, it's crazy.
Yeah,
But
it's real
listen,
crazy.
But that just goes back to
before
that.
we go,
Go ahead.
mhm,
No, I was just saying that goes
it
back to
goes
the
back to what, Joanne?
show. Kids say the darndest things.
Yes, they do.
And how those kids used to say, "Oh my goodness, that was
Oh my Lord.
the funniest
Yes,
show."
it
Oh my,
was.
because those kids would say stuff.
Yes, it,
Parents, if the
oh my.
parents were in the audience, they would sometimes they would just be wanting to get up under the seat and just crawl
Under
out.
the seat. Yes.
Mm-mm.
So before we go, we have to weigh in with LeBron James
Mm-hmm.
and what's his
Stephen
name?
A.
Steve.
Stephen A. Smith.
Oh man,
Stephen A. Smith.
Stephen A. Smith.
Yeah, I didn't follow. No, I seen that. I seen that
Yes.
LeBron said something to him. I'm not
Yeah.
tracking, but from what I can gather from it was that Stephen A. Smith gave a critique on LeBron James' son, and I think LeBron James
Yes.
was offended by it, and he addressed him. I
Mhm.
think that LeBron was being
Hmm.
a father, and I don't see anything wrong with a man being a father, at all. However, what LeBron has to realize is that his son is in the NBA, and NBA players are subject to being criticized for what they do and don't do. That's why sports journalism is a whole thing. You know what I mean? So I appreciate him standing up for his son or whatever. Or obviously, I feel like, I mean, people criticize his son all through the draft process. So I don't know what was actually said, but I'm going to go on a limb and say that there must have been something said that LeBron felt crossed the line, because
Mm,
LeBron is not one to address. I mean, think about how many people says things about him. You know what I mean? He's not one to address that. So he must have felt like something was kind of, a line was crossed, and it crossed the line of disrespect. And if that's the case, instead of him using his fingers to tweet or to subtweet or anything, I love to see a grown man go have a conversation with another grown man and stand on business. You know what I mean? And so I think you gotta respect it, but then again, it's like, LeBron, this is your son, and in this world, you're not
I
daddy. You know
guess.
what I
Well,
mean?
right. That's true. That is so true. And it's hard. It's hard to separate that, though. It is, but
Yeah,
it's
I can imagine that.
it's true. It's true. Mhm.
Yeah.
but I will say now, Stephen can push the envelope because in his critique, sometimes, and not just of LeBron's son, but sometimes it seems like he's putting in some little personal jabs in there.
Hmm.
Um, hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, but
Well,
but but
the
but but that's what
players.
makes him. But that's what makes him relevant. So as a journalist, you have to go out and sometimes say something kind of
Be edgy.
crazy, or you have to
Mhm.
be edgy, because it's how you stay relevant in your fields. His stock done went up that much more because LeBron James then came. Came and said something to him. Like, I mean, it's a art to this thing. You know what I mean? And so, overall, Stephen A. Smith is very professional, and I think that he handled himself very well. I don't know what was said. I have to go do research to see what was said. I'm just assuming that for LeBron to address him, he had to feel like it crossed the line.
Right.
However, I know that Stephen A, he gonna push the envelope, but he not gonna die. He not gonna dive in it. So, shout out to Stephen A. Smith for doing his job. He made himself relevant. He brought views to ESPN,
Yes, he
and
did.
he created shows, and he gave raw content that got millions of views on YouTube
How
each
about that?
show from what he did. So, man, good job. Good job. You know?
I saw uh, LeBron say, he said, "Well, I am not as I don't. He didn't say polished or refined as Michael
Hmm.
Jordan. He said, I'm petty, and so when you say some crazy things, I'm gonna be petty with you."
Mm,
Mm.
Yeah.
okay.
So I said, okay. There we have it, folks. So
Yeah.
anyway, well, I know this will continue, and they will still give us content to create from their interaction and conversation. That's for sure. Well, listen, we had a great show,
Yes.
and before we go, like to say happy birthday to my friend Tanya Mims and Diane Flint. Her birthday, and then our friend uh, Pam. She's going to be celebrating her fifth pastoral anniversary on the
Mm.
fourth Sunday in
Mm.
March
March.
at
Awesome.
her church, Greater New Light Missionary Baptist Church. So they're gonna have a big celebration over there in the evening. And so I wanted to say, acknowledge all of those great things that are going on.
Yeah.
What do you have for us for this week, Joanne?
Oh, just look. Take it one day at a time. We lost an hour today. Woo.
Man,
I'm telling you, it seemed like it's just an hour, but that hour makes such a big difference.
makes a huge
Look,
difference.
it does. Yes, it does. Just have a wonderful week. Take one day at a time and be blessed. That's all I can say. Oh,
Yeah.
that's it. And we might get
Yeah.
stuff going. No. Yes, yes. Rufus, we're gonna work on your internet. Has you frozen again? Mm-mm. How those babies, Justin? Oh,
They
they're not
doing
baby
good.
babies. They're not baby babies. Look,
No,
it's
they they
she
they
is
seven
just,
five, 7, 5, and 1.
ooh, she's just growing, growing,
Mhm.
growing.
Oh,
7, 5, and 1.
definitely.
Wow. Mm-mm.
Well,
That is
listen, guys,
so.
everybody have a great week. And we will be back here next week at 7 o'clock p.m. And with better internet, Mr. Xfinity, you're going to
Mm.
hear. Have a great one, everybody.
You
You as well.
too. Peace.